On today's season preview, part 8.
Oh, baby, here we go. Who are the most overrated players and teams in the NBA?
Welcome to tonight's episode of Access Hollywood. Are you Team Durant or Team Westbrook?
And I'm back on the hot seat to tell you which player will take the biggest step forward.
The starter 72 burning question starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to part 8 of the Starters NBA season preview. Whether you're listening to the podcast on iTunes or catching us on YouTube or live on NBA TV, we're happy to have all of you. I'm J.D. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Let's NBA.
To his right, international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, Illinois' finest, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! All right, we're continuing our 72 burning questions about the upcoming NBA season. We're getting so close to cracking this case. If you've missed parts 1 through 7, they're up on YouTube as well as our Facebook page, so go check those out. Had a lot of fun doing these. You guys have been great, by the way, responding on Twitter and Facebook with your answers to these cues. We ask you to continue to do so as we get to at least 8 more questions here tonight. Question 57, let's pick it right up. This one's going to get us into trouble, all right? Let's just get that very clear right now. This one's going to get us into a lot of trouble. Who's the most overrated player in the league? Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, this is always a rough question. Harrison Barnes isn't going to fulfill his contract with the Dallas Mavericks. He signed a max deal 4 for $94 this offseason after spending 4 years with the Golden State Warriors. Those 4 years, I loved watching Harrison Barnes play. The way he grew, he was a perfect complementary player. He didn't come out of his box ever, it felt like. He just learned those skills. When I have space, I can put it down, pick it up, and fire. He had the dribble, drive, move down. He could hit the open three. He never came out of his box. That being said, he didn't have great percentages, although he had a lot of space with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson creating for him. So what happens when you're a max player? Those percentages are likely to go down. I just don't see him being a one-on-one, break-you-down type of player. 12 points per game, a 46% shooting percentage. He's going to be quite average if he bumps up to 18 or 19. And I know the Dallas Mavericks think Dirk will get him some space. And this is probably just a signing that is basically, hey, we're just going to sign somebody, anybody, and we'll figure it out down the line. And, Harrison Barnes is obviously a decent NBA player, but a max NBA player, it just doesn't fit the bill. I know that the Mavericks down the line are going to get a max player to try and complement. They're always going to look for a superstar, but Harrison Barnes,
you don't think Harrison Barnes can be your number one player?
I think that's fairly clear.
Seems like a stretch.
I just don't think that's going to happen. And in today's NBA, 4 for 94 may be a complimentary player down the road.
You're right.
True.
Sounds bonkers, but you're right.
Yeah, it might be a second or third guy, but Harrison Barnes is just a very good third guy. And I know the coaching staff in Golden State, Bruce Fraser working with him, and we all spent time in Golden State. They worked with him. He learned his role so well. I just don't know how much he can grow from this point, although he's still a young guy.
And that's important to point out here. Before people do go bonkers, when we're pointing out players who we think are overrated, that doesn't mean we think they're bad players. We just think, I think what it means is the popular opinion, the common opinion of those people is maybe unreasonably high, and the contract comes into play as well.
Maybe a person who's been anointed a little too quickly, maybe a person who's past his prime and people still think he's great, or a person who just can't fulfill his contract.
Harrison Barnes, who do you got?
I'll stay in Texas. I'm going with LaMarcus Aldridge from the San Antonio Spurs. He was an
That's an
All-NBA
all-star,
player
an
last
All-NBA
year.
player, yeah.
Yeah, he actually is really good, and there is kind of a zing on Aldridge, but it's also kind of a compliment, I think, to Tim Duncan, because I think the Spurs are just going to really see how much they're going to miss Tim Duncan, even in his diminished state at the end of his career. To me, LaMarcus's best seasons have been when he has a humongous center next to him, whether it was Duncan or Robin Lopez when he was with Portland. Because he doesn't have that this year with Pau Gasol being there, he's not going to be a behemoth that shuts down the lane. And while offense won't be the concern, on defense, LaMarcus as your number one interior defender, I don't think is exactly what the Spurs are looking for. Last season, the Spurs were 4 points per 100 possessions worse when Aldridge was on the court and Duncan was sitting, whereas when they played together, they were an incredible, historically great defensive team. So I think you're going to see their defense fall off majorly this year, and I think that when LaMarcus Aldridge is your number one interior defender, it's just going to cause more problems that the Spurs are used to having.
Can I ask you a question? Did you make this pick with Aldridge? Did it have anything to do with the rumors floating around about Aldridge, or maybe the Spurs, maybe not being happy with Aldridge and these trade rumors that are floating around? Anything to do with
Well,
that?
I don't like hearing the trade rumors and that kind of stuff, and the Spurs and Aldridge have both denied that that's the case.
Right.
But with the
That's
Tim
standard,
Duncan
though,
era,
isn't it?
exactly,
Yeah.
they never had to worry about that kind of stuff
Yeah.
at all. And this is happening within months of Tim Duncan retiring, that they're having to answer questions
Yeah.
about whether or not he's even happy. I think it's just a huge change for the Spurs, and the change in culture from Tim Duncan to LaMarcus is going to be huge.
I think you got to give it one more year there in San Antonio, because LaMarcus in that second series, in their playoff series against OKC, he had 27 points per game. He was moving his butt on defense.
He can score.
And Timmy Duncan was off the floor a lot of the time because he was sort of deemed expendable in that series. It's hard for LaMarcus to learn to be that 1A guy like he is with Kawhi. He's had some trouble doing it in the past. But that's a duo, you know? And I think they should just give it one more year. I don't see them trading him this season.
Who you got, Lee? Overrated.
I'm going with Goran Dragic. from
Why are you
Miami.
laughing?
Why are you giggling?
Because, look, I think he's a good player. He's a former All-NBA third team, only 2 years ago. And the Miami Heat gave up 2 first-round picks and a few other things to get him a couple of years ago at the deadline, gave him an $85 million contract. But since then, his production has really dropped off. He was supposed to be the guy that kind of kept them relevant, gave Dwayne Wade a guy who was a point guard who could go out there and score and get some buckets for himself. But he really hasn't been able to do that. He's still very good at finishing and getting to the rim. That's his strength. But his shooting is just not quite there. He's only 31% from three-point range last season. And in the playoffs against Miami, he was good against Charlotte, okay against Charlotte, and against the Raptors. That was his opportunity to say, I can keep this team relevant, get them to the conference finals. But he just wasn't that good. He's not
He
a
was
great...
pretty good in that
He
series.
didn't shoot the ball very well at all. And
I think it's clear he has to be the primary ball handler to get the most out of him.
But he is.
Is that a lead guy? Well, he was playing
Not
with
with
Wade.
Wade, yeah.
well, yeah, but he's got the ball in his hands most of the time.
Yeah, I actually think he's going to fit real nice next to Hassan Whiteside. That pick and roll is going to be nasty to
Yeah,
defend.
well, the other thing is, I mean, there are already trade rumors as well surrounding him now. And Miami, of course, are saying, no, we're not trading him. But given what's happened to them with Wade leaving and they had to get some spare parts to come in and sort of make up for that deficit, I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat now do consider we maybe want to try to get something back for this guy. Because, again, they gave up 2 first-round picks. Pat Riley doesn't want to see those go out for nothing. So he's got, a relatively tradable contract in the current NBA landscape. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat perhaps looked at that.
My overrated pick, it's similar to your Harrison Barnes pick. It's, Harrison Barnes is replacing this guy in Dallas, and it's handsome Chandler Parsons. He's the classic good, not great.
Are you saying his
player
looks
to
are
me.
overrated?
No, his looks are
hope not.
perfectly rated.
Okay,
Guy's
good.
handsome. But and he's an efficient player, and he's very serviceable, small forward, but he is not the cornerstone to me for any franchise. He's going to give you 15, 5, and 3 when he plays. That's one of the big problems when he plays over these last 2 years. This guy's coming off 2 separate surgical repairs on his damaged knee. Goes out in March last year, doesn't play in the playoffs. He's still not even back. They don't even know if he's going to be in the starting lineup this coming season. So, he gets the contract like Harrison Barnes. I think he's good, but he's not great. And I think people have sort of tried to convince themselves because he can do a little bit of everything that he is great. You've got his new coach in Fizdale saying he's going to try and use Parsons like LeBron James. I mean, no pressure. I know. He's not saying he's LeBron James. He's saying he has skills like LeBron. But come on.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
has
tone
to,
it down a
he has
little
to get healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
and that's a big
28
part of
on
it.
opening night. He's fairly young. The numbers are good when he plays.
When he plays.
He
when
just
plays.
hasn't been able to finish the last 2 seasons.
We'll
right?
see. All right. Well, let's go from players to teams. That is question 58. What's the most overrated team?
All right, I'm going to get ripped in my hometown of Toronto when I
Don't
say this.
do it.
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's the Raps. Recently, there's been talk about the Toronto Raptors being the number 1 seed in the East.
That's possible. It's
possible.
I mean,
It's
in
not
terms
possible.
of win-losses, not
It's not
possible.
Last year was a bit of a dream season for the Toronto Raptors. It all just came together for them. They won 56, a franchise record for them. There's talk about the Golden State Warriors and how they had to deal with teams that maybe weren't at 100%. I think the Raptors were a bit in the same boat last year, even more so, legitimately, unlike the Warriors. That wasn't legitimate. They just got some breaks. They beat a very thin Pacers team. Then they beat the Heat, who had Hassan Whiteside was out. I think if Hassan Whiteside's in there, they win. We just wouldn't be looking at the Raptors the same way if those breaks didn't fall for them and if they didn't win 56 games. When you got a team like Lowry and DeRozan that just relies on jump shot after jump shot after jump shot, they were last in the NBA last year in terms of baskets that were assisted on.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely
A lot of
dead
iso ball.
last.
Yeah. A lot of iso ball.
Lowry's going into his 30s, and I'm sure he's going to have a good year. but everything just sort of fell together for them. And you know what? Being a Toronto homer, I wouldn't mind lowering these expectations. They're just a little too high. They're a little too high. Things fell together.
high.
They're too much.
Spoken like a true
Yeah,
Toronto
exactly.
sports fan.
A number
He's
one
right.
seed, 56 wins.
Well, it's a-
they
it's a
didn't add
chance.
anything in the East to their roster, really. They lost Bismack Biyombo, replaced him with Jared Sullinger. 56 wins is a heck of a lot of wins.
But they only fell, one game back of Cleveland last season.
Yeah, 56 to 57.
Yeah.
I think they're just more of a 50-win team.
All right. Who do you got, Trey?
I got the New York Knicks because I think the idea that they're anything like a super team or that they could get anywhere near 50 wins is frankly ludicrous. They're better than they were last year when they finished with 32
They're
wins.
making the playoffs, Trey.
Well, maybe they'll make the playoffs, but I don't know. Super team 50 wins, you're crazy if you think that's true. They're maybe 7 players deep, 6 players for sure, but after Brandon Jennings, it's hard to say who's even going to really get time off the bench.
Willie.
Yeah, Willie, maybe Kyle O'Quinn, maybe Mindungus?
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure of it. They've got a lot of big
What?
name
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, you know
That's a name.
Mindungus, I do think is the first name afterwards.
He's a
I'm
Lithuanian guy,
little-
right?
Yeah. They got a lot of big name guys, including that guy, but they're all injury guys. And as a Bulls fan, I know how that
All
story
right.
goes.
2 teams from the Atlantic there, and the Raptors and Knicks is overrated. Last year, by the way, we were pretty good at picking overrated teams. We had the Bulls, Jazz, Pelicans, and Bucks.
Nice.
Sort of nailed it.
Nice.
Nice.
Lisa's nice.
See how we do this year.
nice.
When we come back, are you Team Westbrook or Team Durant? We'll hash that out when we return. Back with the starters, we're up to question 59. This was probably the story of the offseason, and I think it says a lot about you as a person.
Me personally?
Not you, I'm looking at all of you,
right,
not just looking at you. Are you hashtag Team Westbrook or hashtag Team Durant? And I think this is perfect timing with all of these articles coming out on these two guys. Kevin Durant on the cover of Rolling Stone, Russell Westbrook on the cover of GQ. There was also a great Lee Jenkins article on for SI on Westbrook. You know, they broke up this summer. KD goes to the Warriors. Russ, he re-signs and signs the extension with the Thunder. What are you? What are you, Tass? Westbrook or Durant?
Also, great timing with Access Hollywood being in the news, because that's what it feels like to be on this show
does.
right now.
What, Billy Bush?
Yeah. Hopefully, we won't get fired like Billy. Look, we never know the whole situation. Let's get that out there. But Russell Westbrook finds out over social media. Don't like that. Then Russell says to the media, listen, you can't just throw away 7 years of friendship. We're going to talk at some point. That was back in August. They still haven't talked. To me, I'm Team Westbrook. I have to be. I have to be Team Westbrook because it just feels like he's been a little bit shorted in this situation.
Yeah, I lean a little bit more towards Team Westbrook. I think if I was going to be on a magazine cover, I'd rather be on GQ than Rolling Stone. And it seems like to me he really did nothing
Biased.
wrong in this whole thing besides just playing hard. And some of that comes off in him being a little bit hard-headed on the court, you know, doing things my way. And maybe Kevin Durant plays into that as well because he wouldn't necessarily work as hard off the ball. Some of that, I feel, though, comes from if he's standing on the side of the other side of the court and Westbrook's handling it, he probably thinks, I'm never getting this ball back. So I think they're definitely both at fault. But Westbrook, a little bit less.
I don't have a problem with what Durant did. He wanted to go and join the Warriors, so what? Who cares? He wants to go and play for a championship. He felt he was a better chance to win a championship with Golden State. Go there. What's his obligation to Westbrook?
Just give him a call.
Well, maybe
Give him
send
a
him a
ding.
text.
They haven't
Maybe
talked. This is like,
What if he's on WhatsApp and he's,
Well,
they've literally exchanged
Yeah,
one
there you go.
text.
That's fine. He told him then.
In like 5 months, whatever it's been, like
But
how
look,
about a,
things
how about a
move on.
ding?
They've broken up, like you said. Kevin's now got to focus on his career in Golden
Yeah.
State. They're enemies on the court now. They'll be friends at some point later in life. While they're playing, while they're both alpha dogs right now, competing for a championship, they don't have to be friends.
I wonder if people's perception about this Team Westbrook or Team Durant changes if Durant doesn't go to the Warriors, too. Like, let's say Durant
big part of
goes
it.
home to Washington and goes with the Wizards or goes to another team, and he doesn't go to a 73-win team that just lost in the finals.
I don't think it does. Probably doesn't change much to Russ, though, does it?
To
Russ specifically?
Okay, maybe not to Russ specifically, but to
everyone out there.
else.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, look, a lot of people think it's ridiculous that KD, an alpha
sure.
dog, one of the best players in this league, ends up just going to, again, one of the best teams already,
Yeah.
if not of all time, in the Warriors.
But which fans' teams would have said no? We won't take him under those circumstances, or have that?
Of course,
lineup?
Warriors fans are happy.
Yeah, but no,
Their
but I'm
team
saying,
Durant.
if any other team had that sort of makeup of players, they'd say, "Oh, we don't care. It gives us a better chance of winning the championship." So the other 29 teams are just jealous. That's all it is. It's not like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. That's not fair. Who cares? If Durant thinks he wants to win a championship, he's been in the league 9 years.
Yep.
You don't want to get to that situation where, like Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota, where it's like, I just want to now go and win. I've done everything I can for this franchise. I'm going to be selfish and go and win a championship, and he got it.
I think what's maybe sad about it is they were an unbelievable duo, Westbrook and Durant, and they could just never get over the championship hump. I mean, they ran into LeBron in the one finals, and then because of injury, let's be honest, a lot of times throughout those playoffs, could never get back there.
You work with somebody for 8 or 9 years. I just want to call. I mean, what's the great? Yeah, I'll probably call you.
Okay, I'll call you, man.
Probably. I mean, after 4 months, like there's like let's say a 90-day grace period.
That's an awkward call to make, though. He's leaving
you
him
gotta make the
after
call.
so many years together, and he's going to play for their chief rival after losing to them in the playoffs. What do you say? Be like, hey, man, I don't think you guys can do it, but I'm going to go over here and do it. That's a hard call to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm totally fine with all that. You know, you've got to be professionally selfish in KD's case.
You're such a millennial. Just
After-
texting all the time.
after
Just call.
He's done all he can for that franchise. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere else. Good on you. Go for it.
Did you say did you say NAFTA? NAFTA?
What?
I thought you were talking about NAFTA there for a second.
No. But at the same time, having
You've
said
been
all
watching
that,
too many
I know.
debates,
Push
man.
debates,
You're
man.
talking
Yeah.
Bush and
I
that.
just
would
want
like
to
to
throw
see-
down.
I would like to see if Westbrook can carry the Thunder to the playoffs and to the finals, perhaps.
It's
you know?
going to be fun to watch,
Yeah.
that's for sure, especially when those two teams battle each other. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the debates.
I'm traveling man, doing all that I can.
Welcome back to the starters. 5 more questions as we approach 72, and they're all for J.E. Skeets on the hot seat.
Crossfire! No?
Sure.
Close enough.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, here we go. Question number 60. So we get close to 72. Guys making the jump. Which player will take the biggest leap forward this season?
Good question. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to give you 2 guys that I think are going to take a leap forward, and they're 2 guys in their second year, and 2 guys I think that could score 20 points per game or more. Point guard for the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell, and Suns guard, Devin Booker. I love both these guys. Booker, I've talked about before. He is my Bradley Beal. Huge crush on this kid. He's going to score a whole lot of points. He's going to be I think he could be in the running for an all-star already. D'Angelo Russell, reasons for no Kobe cloud hanging over him, no Byron Scott there anymore to clash with. He wants to make up for, of course, the Snapchat fiasco of last year. I think he's going to be great. So Russell, Booker, both going to take a big, big leap forward.
I didn't say players, just player.
I told you I was
It's-
going to cheat.
It's just like Crossfire. You're cheating already. All right.
Yeah. And I'll win.
Prediction here. Best defensive team in the league.
A lot of candidates. Spurs are always going to be good. Hawks added Dwight Howard. Hornets added Michael Kidd-Gilchrist back. They're going to be great. But I'll go with the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz over the last 2 years, Quinn Snyder's done a phenomenal job making them a very, very good defensive unit. After the All-Star break 2 years ago, they were the best defensive squad. Last year after the All-Star break, they were the 3rd best defensive squad. Can they put it together for 82 games? I think they can. It helps that they have the best rim protector in the league in Rudy Gobert and good pieces around him on the wing, and Hayward, and of course Hood and Dante Exum I think should be great. I'll go with the Utah Jazz.
All right, I like that answer. Next question, it's the Oscar Robertson question. Who is going to lead the league in triple doubles this season?
This is the easiest question of the 72.
Yeah.
I was asked it last year. I said Russell Westbrook. You're asking it again. I stick with Russell Westbrook. He led the league with 18 last year. The year before that, he led the league with 11. Really, the only question with this is how many can he get? 20
82
plus?
seems reasonable.
25. I mean, this is easily Westbrook. I'm sure the Greek Freak is going to get double digits or close to that as well, but I don't see anyone catching Westbrook with the trip dubs.
Okay, next question. It's about court aesthetics. We love talking about the new court. So what's the sexiest new court design this season?
The Philadelphia 76ers, they're actually going to pay tribute to the 66-67 champs team, and they got new jerseys and the throwbacks and all that. But in addition to that, they're actually going to have an alternate court. I love that teams are doing this now, alternate courts. So for 6 games, they're going to have this very cool court there with that old logo, the Liberty Bell there. I like how it looks. They're not changing too much from their current aesthetic, so I'll go with that.
I can see Will's.
Like those shorts.
Really cool.
That was very, very. I could see part owner Will Smith singing a ring ding dong
Absolutely.
at halftime. All right, next question. You're a marathon runner.
Yeah.
You've watched a ton of NBA games over the years, so this question is fitting for you. How do you survive the marathon NBA season?
Wow, great question. Well, when you're actually training for a marathon, I think there are 3 key elements to, again, actually running one. Long runs, speed work, rest and recovery. Those 3 elements, you got to apply them to watching an NBA season as well. Long runs, I'm talking about you settle in for a double-header action either at night or on Sunday. You just watch the games. You know, you're talking 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time if you got 2 games. Speed work, that's your bouncing around league pass. Your league pass alerts, John Schumann just alerted you. You're jumping games on a Monday, Wednesday night, whatever. That's your speed work. Rest and recovery speaks for itself. Don't be a total loser. You got to take a night off. Every once in a while, go for sushi with your wife. You don't want mental burnout, so just take the odd night off. Those 3 things, that's how you'll get through an NBA season.
You might have to take an odd night off after getting sushi with your wife. All right.
Sushi do you think I'm having here?
You never know. You never know with sushi. All right, this sprint of a show is almost over, but after this break, you tell us, Team Westbrook or Team Durant? What you got?
Back with the starters. Oh, man, we're getting close to cracking this case. 64 of our 72 burning questions are up on our investigation board. Man, we've used a lot of string.
Yeah, our yarn budget this year is crazy.
Yeah, it's mad crazy. One of the questions we talked about tonight, are you Team Westbrook or Team Durant? As simple as that. We threw this to the starters fans on Twitter. 70% are Team Westbrook, 30% Team Durant. Not surprised by those results at all.
Agreed.
Coming up tomorrow, the final chapter, part 9 of our NBA season preview series. Questions include who will win Most Valuable Player, who will be the biggest name to be traded this season. That'll be a fun one. And a special edition, actually, of the Hot Seat, which will include our NBA Finals predictions, as we always do. You know, nothing like predicting the finals
Before the season even
before the
started.
season even starts. So that is tomorrow, part 9, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We got some fan signs, Lee.
First one of the year comes from Steve and Sarah in Toronto at a Raptors preseason game. Another one comes from young Isaac.
She thinks the Raptors are over.
Who was at a Wolves and Nuggets game. So if you are going to a game this season, guys, take a fan sign, and we might put it in the show if Skeets doesn't freak out about it.
What do you mean? It's not me. Look.
It's only the preseason, guys. Take a
The
breath.
drop tomorrow. It's our hour-long podcast up on iTunes and Google Play around noon Eastern. So keep an eye on that. Subscribe to the show. Appreciate it. Tuesday, this is special.
Yes!
We've got a Twitter exclusive show. It is on Twitter only, Tuesdays at 11 a.m. We'll tell you more about that in the coming days.
Every week. It's going to be a blast. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, by saying no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else.
Brace the night, people.